Hey, welcome back to Diabolic Shrimp, the least professional talk show on the internet. I'm your host, best-selling author, comic creator, and video game designer, Josh Grant. And tonight we have a really awesome show. Just wonderful person, heart of gold, wrote an incredible young adult mystery and suspense and supernatural. There's all this stuff kind of wrapped into one series. There's a trilogy called Neptune's Window, and we are going to dive all into that tonight. We're going to talk all about a little bit of travel too, and some adventure there. And so definitely hang with us. If you're new to Diabolic Shrimp and have no idea what this is Diabolic Shrimp, connected to Diabolic Shrimp, the website. And so we love to connect readers and writers. I love to interview interesting and famous people from around the world. So if you want to be part of that journey, definitely hit this subscribe, and all the random buttons floating around here. Additionally, we are initially live. So if you're watching us live, thanks for showing up. Over there in the live chat, you can always leave your comments. We love to be interactive and love to hear your questions and comments. If you're watching this later and catching this later, thanks for showing up as well. Down below, share those comments. I love to share those with our guests. And so LL Lewin is tonight. Check out Linda's books down below there. A great book series. I've reviewed a couple of them actually, and fantastic works. And so really great suspense. And so, but before we get there, we do have a few highlighted books, actually several tonight. And so our highlighted books are down below as well. So definitely check out the links. Of course, I have to share another zombie apocalypse, since I'm about to launch that series in a week or so. And so it's a comic book that follows all these different comic stories of zombie apocalypse. It's a very different take on the zombie apocalypse. Next up in our highlighted books, again, these are down below. Ashes in Venice, a vengeance thriller by Gohan Nikolic. Ashes in Venice, named 2022 Best Psychological Thriller of the Year by BestThrillers.com, is a modern noir vengeance crime mystery set in Las Vegas and Venice, Italy. This Pencraft Award winner and American Fiction Award finalist is available online from most booksellers. I've reviewed that one, a fantastic book. It is very suspenseful, since tonight we're talking a little bit of suspense. And so next up, A.C. Hamilton, the revolutionary author. So take your writing to the next level with the revolutionary author, the game changer that will revolutionize the way you write and publish books. He talks about, all these different ways of using artificial intelligence to help you write books. I actually interviewed ChatGPT, one of the ones he talks about on the show recently. You can check back in the videos if you want to check that out, or find this book in the links below. So next we have Conditions by Tiffany Brown, a love story that will give you hope, keep you guessing, and make you want to continue reading until the end. Catch up in the second book of the reality series with characters you can relate to. Hope you're still with us. We got a couple more. So we have L-Hawk and Jayhawk, the legend of the copper cyborg, loading. Find out what happens when technology has a massive glitch. In this book, a character named Kelsey is on a quest to try to escape a strange new world, but an insane cyborg tries to stop her plans. And we have Jeff Parsons, The Captivating Flames of Madness. I also reviewed this one. Fantastic book. We're all just one event, mishap, or decision away from things that could change our lives forever. What would you do if fate led you astray into a grim world where you encountered vengeful ghosts, homicidal maniacs, ancient gods, apocalyptic nightmares, dark magic, deadly space aliens, and more? I personally would run away, but you can figure out what they do in the book by looking in the link down below. And our last one for this evening, so The Four Lives of Robinson Appleson. So by Veronique Isweri Pasquet. I'm sorry, Veronique. I think I butchered your name really bad. So this book tells the story of a prince who is cursed. He becomes a cannibal, and he is doomed to never fall in love. If he does, he will end up eating his beloved. Readers who love fantasy books with a predator-prey love story will be delighted. And so those are our highlighted books. But tonight, we're going to talk all about Neptune's Window by LL Lewin. And so just a little bit about her, since she's down in the wings waiting. And so just a bit about her before we bring her on. So LL Lewin is the author of Neptune's Window trilogy, a native of Southern California. She was born in Los Angeles County and grew up in Orange County. She graduated from the University of California, Irvine, with a degree in psychology and social behavior. that's you have to be kind of a little bit like psychology to come on this show. She can analyze me later, I suppose. And so after teaching for several years and interacting with the youth almost daily, she was inspired to write a young adult mystery novel, which morphed into a little bit more. And we're going to talk all about that tonight. Check it out below. Since things happen in threes for her initials, triple Sagittarius, and the third born, the novel turned into a trilogy and reaffirmed her belief that three's a charm. She loves all things astrological, metaphysical, and spiritual, with her sun, moon, and rising all in the sign of Sagittarius. She's as Sagittarius as they come, optimistic, freedom-loving, and ever so tactless. We're actually going to get along maybe because I'm also super Sagittarius. Her three passions in life are writing, traveling, and soccer. You'll either find her writing at the beach, on an island somewhere, or on the soccer field. And her three vices are chocolate, pizza, and champagne, and not necessarily in that order. Why not all together? And so, well, she's been waiting in the wings for an age now, so let's bring her on.
Hi, Josh.
Linda Lewin. Hi, welcome to Diabolic Shrimp. So,
hi, how are you doing?
well,
Thank you so much for having me.
oh, it's such a pleasure for me. You all wouldn't know that's watching, but Linda was so nice. Actually, she's a teacher. She let me come in and chat with kids about writing. Fantastic, gifted teacher and a very gifted writer. Person with a heart of gold. So I'm so happy to talk with you, Linda, tonight. I know it's our system is lagging just a bit. So for our audience, you might get lovely pictures of Linda like smiling or in mid talking. You got to capture like the right photo, I suppose. And so, well, Linda, it's so great to have you on here. Linda, I think a great way to introduce people is through a bit of show and tell. Did you happen to bring anything?
I did. So I thought long and hard about this,
Okay.
and I came up with can you see it?
Just
My
hold it on up there. Oh, yes, I can see here. It's like a wine glass. It says, I can't read what it says. What does it say?
It says classy, sassy, badassy.
What
So
are you tonight?
yeah, so it was badassy, but then I was waiting forever with all your
Yeah,
intro
highlighted
and
books.
everything. So
Yeah,
now, now I'm classy. But
oh good.
this is definitely me trying. It's a school night, so trying to keep it
Yeah.
classy.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, I tried to do that. That's why we had the highlighted books, is to like, we don't want people to be too bad arse on this show, so we try to keep it classy here. So I love that. And so, well, that's too much fun. Well, Linda, I was like, you've written this fantastic series, Neptune's Window, and we're gonna dive fully into that in just a second. But a few questions about you here, like you have a love like for travel and the outdoors, and is there like a place that you really enjoy like traveling to, and does this affect your writing at all?
Oh yes. So anywhere on a beach, any island. Actually, I wrote the entire trilogy on a beach, and it actually takes place in a beach city, so
Oh,
in
okay.
California.
So is
And
new
that was
is
kind of my
Newport
mom's.
is Newport a
Yeah,
real place, or?
Newport Beach is a real place, but the high school is not.
Oh, okay.
So there's other high schools, but there's not a Newport Beach High School. Yes. But
Oh, okay.
so that's where it takes place. And but I love traveling. I love to cruise, so I can go to a bunch of different islands and not have to pack. And I love try to get to Hawaii. Maui is probably my favorite island in Hawaii. But I'd have to say Okinawa was one of my favorite places in Japan. So I
Oh,
like to just
I
go
would love
everywhere.
to
But
go.
oh, you have to. You have to. It's amazing. Everything, the people, the scenery, the food. It's just wow. Like the service. I mean, you don't even need to speak the language because it's just they automatically, I don't know how they know, they just know what you need.
I was like, yeah, well, yeah, I was like, that would just be amazing. I was like, so you based, like say like Neptune's Window off of like kind of like a Newport in a way, or just kind of some of your traveling. So like what I mean, what about that place, or what about it like kind of inspired that book?
Well, the book actually, I was just so inspired to write about a girl to root for. I just noticed with the kids, my students that I was teaching, they just they needed someone who was strong, like who could stand up to bullies, could just be in real life situations. Like this is really happening, you know, in the high schools, and social media is their world. So she gets cyberbullied, my main character. So I had, you know, her deal with that, but then I wanted to give her something extra because she was brand new to the school, just moved there. And so she's a medium. So she talks to spirits, which I was always fascinated. I have no gift whatsoever, but I researched a bunch of mediums for this project. And I actually became really good friends with one. And she was telling me I was writing a spirit story in modern time. So it kind of like we both had the chills. And so I just, this story just had to get out there. So the beach is more just the backdrop, you know. But I've always been into astrology because I was told it was so rare to have your sun, moon, and rising all in one sign, especially Sagittarius. So apparently we're the most, you know, freedom loving, need to be outdoors, nature, and that could not be more true. And I have always been into astrology, so I actually base my characters off stereotypical signs. So my main character, her name is Aries, and she is a total Aries. So they're strong.
Well, I was actually really fascinated. That definitely touches on where the questions I was going to ask later, kind of like, and I assumed, you know, it was kind of coming from the sign, but it's like I'm fascinated. Yeah, so like your main character, so Aries, and sorry if I mess up her last name. I always pronounce it Dade in my head,
No,
but
it is, yes.
okay, good. I was like,
Yeah.
I'm usually good at butchering names, so it's like, but so your main character Aries Dade, like experiences like a lot of change in her life, right? And so like say like when you were traveling, like did you have any like big culture shock moments ever, like in like say like going places like say like Okinawa or something? Did you ever have a moment where you're like there was some culture shock or no?
It was culture shock, but in a beautiful way. Just like, wow, you know, it was just so gorgeous. And what I couldn't believe is I remember looking for a trash can and I couldn't find one, but there was no litter anywhere. And I was like, how does this work? You know, we were just out and about and I was like, there's no trash cans, but there's no litter. Everything is just, you know, no graffiti. Just such a efficient, you know, as a society also, like you go through customs there, it takes about 15 minutes and you're like, oh my gosh, this is so great. You come back to LA and it's like 2 hours, you know?
Yeah, I think it would creep me out actually. Yeah, if it probably like kind of spook me out if I like was like you know they were like super efficient. I guess I don't know. I've heard about like some of the people in like say Tokyo where they had like the pushers that like push you onto the train and stuff.
Yeah.
And I guess
Oh,
that's what we need to do. I guess I don't know. So you're a middle school teacher and you get a medal for that from one teacher to another. I was elementary, but so how is like working with youth affected your writing? You kind of touched on that a bit. And so how has working with youth affected your writing? And tell us a bit about that like journey leading up to the creation of Neptune's Window.
um, you know, working with the youth is so fulfilling. It just is, they, you know, are amazing and they teach me every single day just as much as I'm teaching them things, new things. And I could see, you know, just some of the things that were going on, you know, that they're so worried about and they're so anxious about. And I just wanted to give them some strategies to help them, you know, deal with that, whether it's stress or depression. And kind of, you know, we get into this like meditation and I'm like, this is going to pass, you know, middle school, this is, you know, but it's their world right now. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, if I can just put this in a creative way, like with through fiction and show them, you know, this isn't going to last. You can change it. You can create your reality. Um, so I just saw, especially after COVID coming back, it was like they kind of forgot how to be social.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah,
I've seen that with kiddos that through like just the awkwardness, but also through like just some out there behavior sometimes, you know, where it's like, where'd this come from?
right, right. So there's the antagonist actually, you don't know who they are. So it's kind of like they have their pseudo fake names and it's all their cyberbullying. And you're trying to figure out, okay, who is that? You know, who's doing that to her? I just figured, that's more their world. They're getting bullied through social media more than in person.
Yeah, well, and like I don't know. It's like I just love that about your book, though, is that it really you really balanced everything super well. I think I put this in my review, but it's like you captured the like that supernatural aspect, like you said, some of this like spirit stuff and the astrology, and then you also really captured those really meaningful things for like issues that that like say Aries and then the mystery as well. It was just this really neat balance. That's what I loved about this book series so far. Oh, well, so before we dive in fully into the book here, I do have to know, like you mentioned you love soccer. Like, what type of soccer person are you? Are you that like laid back fan, or are you like that soccer person that is like I've always knew? Because I used to play soccer, but it's like
Oh,
everyone that I've always known for soccer were like, "Come on, ref, let's go!"
yeah.
They're really intense. So, which one
I've
are
I've
you?
Okay, so I've been playing since I was 5. I played in college. I still play every Sunday, and I think I'm a really fair player. I'm not that hardcore person, I guess, that you were describing, but it's my passion. It's what I've known. It's something I've done my entire life, and it just feels good. It feels like home when I'm on a soccer field. So I
I
love to
miss
play.
it. I miss it.
Oh gosh, yeah. I'm not so much the biggest fan of watching. I should probably watch soccer more. I like
I love it.
playoffs or like big, like World Cup, obviously, but I don't follow it regularly. I would much rather be playing.
Yeah, cool, good. I just want to know how much I can mess with you before you
Oh,
like attack me. If you're a soccer fan, they tend to be a bit crazy. So it's like
oh
soccer
no.
players, they're actually very nice people. And so, all right, so well here let's dive in a little bit with your book. Here I'm going to share the first lines, of course. Neptune's Window, again, if you're watching this, is down in the description. Wonderful book series, young adult, like both mystery, supernatural, but also like some good drama in there too. And so here's the first lines from Neptune's Window, first glance. Demanding spirits barged their way into Aries' mind, each voice trying to outdo the other. Please stop, she said through clenched teeth. For a moment, they went away, allowing her to bask in the silence. But as soon as she took a step toward the school, their clamor started back up. And then the murders began. As I always start with things. And so, all right, well, let's talk a little bit of Neptune's Window here. And I'll choose these covers because they're so beautiful, and so I love a good visual cover. And so and so give us just the general rundown for Neptune's Window. Like what's it all about? You've kind of shared a little bit, but like give us the big picture.
Okay, so Aries recently just lost her mother. Her mother passed away, and so she can talk to all these spirits, but for some reason she cannot contact her mom, and she suspects foul play. So she's trying to figure out, what really happened to her mother while battling, the high school drama, the typical high school drama. And so all she wants more than anything is to be able to talk to her mom. So as she's going through these spirits, she's trying to figure out, okay, who can I trust? And it's, she starts to dive deeper into it, and she's figuring out, okay, they might be connected to my mom, and how is, the students at her new school and their parents seem to all kind of be tied in to her mother and, her recent death. So as she's talking to these spirits and figuring out her gift, she's basically, just trying to talk to her mom. And then there's the of course, the love triangle. So you have the starting quarterback is interested in her, and then the bad boy, and she's kind of, thinking, okay, what's going on with them? Is this kind of a game, or are they up to something? So she kind of doesn't know who to trust.
Yeah, well, and I love that balance that you had of like both like you get all the young adult like meaningful emotional like kind of intrigue, and I personally love all that, and it's like and you capture that so well, again, like you work with youth and wanted to give them, dive into some of those issues, but you also get this wonderful mystery in there, and then topping like going around all of that is this like really fun. I don't know, I just thought it was really fun to have this like spiritual aspect. And so let's jump to Aries here. So what was your like inspiration for Aries date? And so you talked about her name was coming from like being as Aries as there come, but as a character, what was kind of your overall inspiration for her?
For her, well, I wanted her to be independent. I needed for her to be strong for what I put her through throughout this trilogy. I mean, it's over the top what she has to deal with. And, being, so she's being raised now by her dad who works all the time. So she had to be, really strong. So I thought, okay, Aries, the ram, they lead head first. And honestly, one of my favorite places is Miami. So I like to cruise a lot and we always fly into Miami-Dade. So really, I put Aries-Dade, but a lot of people think that it's dead, like it's spelled, I just rearranged the word dead. So
Mm-hmm.
I'll
Well,
let those people think that.
yeah, I was just saying the audience is always right. That's what I say. I'm like, it
Yeah.
was that. I was planning it
Ooh,
all
yeah.
along.
Like,
And so, well,
why didn't I think of that?
I think that's actually really fun because I used to fly into Miami-Dade actually, and then drive on down because I used to take kids sailing like the Florida Keys, and so it's like that. So that's just too much fun. I actually never made that connection reading this, and so like, what did like the book idea like grow out of? Like, what aspect of the plot? I guess for me, when I'm writing, I usually have like some twist or some event that's like sparks in my mind, and then the rest kind of grows around it. So in your case, was there like some aspect of the book, like the mother's death or whatever, that the whole book grew out of? What did it grow out of? What was the seed?
Okay, I'm so glad you asked this. So I was always in an astrological chart. I was always curious about what sign people have in Neptune, because whatever your sign is in Neptune, you're oblivious to. And other people can see that characteristic trait of yours, but you can't. So I thought, okay, Neptune's window, she's a medium, so she has a window into what other people are oblivious to. And so then
Ooh,
I kind of came up
fascinating.
with, but sorry, what?
Sorry, fascinating.
Oh,
I'm just interested in because I don't know a whole lot about astrology, so that's really
yeah.
fascinating where that came from. So,
And then, so first glance, it was just kind of like, okay, you're going to get a glance into this world. And I kind of played off the whole window thing. And then deep stare was you go deeper and there's some extra characters that you get to meet. And then shattered, it was like, okay, you're going to find everything out. Like the window's shattered. You'll know, what's going on with Neptune. And so that kind of inspired it to begin with. But honestly, I'm, um, I'm so spontaneous by nature. I just kind of had to let it come to me. And I probably midway through Deep Stare, I wrote myself into this corner that I took about 6 months off and I was just like, what am I going to do? And I just kept going. And I really think that I do just uh, have to get into this world where I'm kind of outside of myself. I mean, I'll be at the beach and I won't even know what's going on. And 6 hours later, I'll just look down at my page and see, I had like 12 pages that I just wrote. And I don't know, I didn't plan it. It just kind of took some twists and turns that I absolutely loved. I felt like I didn't even know what was going to happen to Aries. And then when I wrapped it up, I was just like, wow, that was really great.
I
How it
definitely
all,
I definitely connect with you on that. I was like, some of the best twists I feel like I've ever had. I have my books kind of planned out, but it's like the other half of it's kind of like done on the fly. But like some of my best twists, I feel like came because I myself didn't really expect that. So I definitely connect with you on that. So you said you kind of got a little bit stuck in like a deep stare when you're writing it. Like, do you think that's like, do you think it's a benefit sometimes when you get stuck like that, like, or when you have to struggle through something, or do you think it's a better idea to step back and give it some time or give it a breather?
Absolutely. I felt, well, for me, I'm such a pressure player, I liked being backed in that corner because I'm like, I can do this. I can, um, find a way out of this. But at the time, it doesn't feel good. But if I just kind of, yeah, stepping back, I think if I would have forced it, it wouldn't have turned out the way I wanted it to. So yeah, I don't really plan a whole lot of things, but they all kind of just work out. I think there's that special little magic, I guess, in there from speaking with actual mediums, and kind of helping me. I mean, for like the 5% out there that are truly know about this stuff, they'll be like, oh yeah, those are kind of like some things that a medium might do. Like when she scribbles to kind of try and connect with a spirit, I noticed like a handful of mediums will do that. So I tried to be authentic to that aspect of how she channels. And, in the spiritual world, they'll say hummingbirds or dragonflies, bees, flies, moths, kind of they'll be around her when a spirit's coming through.
Interesting. Well, and so you've had like I just love how you like connect all these things, with like, I'm a very spiritual person, so it's like it's neat to see that kind of connect into the real world too, and
Yeah.
so like what like did you like to they call them pantsers, it's like people like yourselves and myself where I have a bit of a plan, they have planners, and then they have pantsers, but like
Right.
pantsers like just kind of write on the fly a little bit. And so writing like that, like, was there anything that you really had to go back and change later on? I guess I'm curious, like, what changed over the course of you writing this series?
Absolutely. I don't want to really give anything away.
Yeah, that's the hard part. It's
Um,
like, no, don't spoil the twist because it really is a great mystery book. But go on. Sorry.
yeah, but to have it make sense, and when it took a twist that I wasn't planning on doing, I did have to go back and rewrite. And with a trilogy, you have to make sure, like, did I say that before? I did. I mean, you have to be so on top of it to not repeat too much, and to make sure, okay, does it all make sense in the end? Because it was so long ago when I started it, but I did. I definitely changed things, and I actually had a character that was. I ended up liking too much. Like they were supposed to be, something different. They were supposed to be mean and stuff. And I'm like, I can't do that. I can't do that to that character. So that kind of changed too.
Well, good on you for being so. I was like, I was the opposite in my horror book. I had a character that I loved, and then I just had this idea for a twist, and they became horrible, and I'm like, it's so perfect, and I have to do it, and I'm actually really sad. And
Yeah.
so I'm glad you went the other way and made them nicer. And so all right, you've set up this like wonderful like mystery with Neptune's window. Like, what's your advice for setting up mystery for anyone that would like to write one? Like, how do you go about, I creating this twist, and how do you go about like sharing enough clues without sharing too much? I guess.
Right, right. So you have to just keep dangling that carrot, you have to in the chapters, it's all about chapter ending and having that narrative thrust. You don't want to over explain something. You want to let the reader's imagination kind of take over, but not too much. I had a brutal editor. I mean, what I put Aries through is nothing compared to what he put me through. And he honestly thought he would never see me again. And I was just like, no, it was the best thing that ever happened to me. He was all about the very first line, the hook, and just always leaving like the chapter endings, not wanting someone to put the book down, like I have to find out what's in the next chapter. So I think that like really moves it. But I think sometimes even when I'm reading a book, if the author over explains something, like the flowers were yellow and they were placed over here, then my mind just gets lazy and I get kind of bored, But if I try to picture the color of the flowers, or that's probably a really bad analogy that I'm making right now, but
I don't
I
know.
just.
I was just like, I'm tracking with you. So I'm very,
Okay.
very connected with that. So,
Okay, cool. At
well,
least we're having fun here, right, Josh?
I was like, always, I was like, I'm enjoying myself. I was like, and so again, audience, I was like, drop those comments down below. I love to share those always. And so like all good young adult novels, of course, you kind of pack some great emotion and meaningful issues into there. Like, so what do you hope that readers will walk away with? I mean, we as authors, like, don't always get to choose that. It's like I always say, like, the reader is always right. Whatever they walk away with is what they walk away with. But what do you hope that they might walk away with?
I hope that they walk away with dealing with grieving, the grieving process, with a loved one. Maybe it gives them some hope. especially when young people lose, a parent, a teenager. I mean, I can't even imagine. So just kind of going through that and knowing things are always going to get better. If you hit rock bottom, there's no place to go but up. And I had a trainer that I was working out with, and I absolutely love this. He said, tough times don't last, but tough people do. And I think just everything she overcomes and deals with, I would hope that they would know, there's some spiritual feeling out there, and just giving them some type of hope, and escape. It's just like it's a quick read, and something that they can just maybe, be open to, even if you're not into astrology, if you're not in, the spirits, it still has a great mystery to it.
Definitely. Well, and again, I keep bringing this up again. If you're watching this, check the books out themselves so you can decide for yourself. But I love the just that balance that you have of again, like it's like you do it all so well. You do the mystery aspect so well. You do the young adult intrigue and drama so well, and you do the the spiritual aspect so well. I just thought it was a wonderful blend. So it's a trilogy. Were you always planning for it to be a trilogy, and is there going to be more than a trilogy?
So I just wanted to write a trilogy. I don't know what I was thinking, and I don't know if I'll ever write a trilogy again, but I never say never. And I love the characters, not just Aries, but there's so many great characters I fell in love with. So I'm just leaving it open. As for now, I'm going to move on to something else, but there might be a possibility that it could be more. I know some people that finished Shattered definitely want more, but we'll see. Yeah, so I kind of left it open.
Well, it's a series. It's a series with all these great, like you said, these other characters as well. So it's like you got all these wonderful side characters. That's like I bet you could tell like a really fun side story at some point too through some of them. So although you got to get that especially like the medium aspect in there. So
Yeah.
that's always tricky. So like all right, well, and I'm a huge these days I'm a huge visual guy. I was like I start with novels of course, but I used to be an actor. I used to I do comics now. So I'm a huge visual guy. So, and you have these gorgeous covers. Like, what went into their creation, and what do you hope that they convey to the reader about your book?
Yeah, I think covers are everything. When someone doesn't know you as an author and they don't know what your book's about. I love how the first one really like she's looking into the light. And I wish we had comments here because there are hidden astrological signs in each cover. So it'd be so fun to see if they could get the
Ooh,
hidden signs. Yeah,
interesting.
yeah.
Okay. I was like,
They're-
well, now I'm going to be looking. Actually, I never
yeah.
even noticed that before, and so
So
I don't know astrology too well, but it's like, but now I'm going to be like, where's Sagittarius?
no, not
Where's
Sagittarius,
oh.
but deep stare for me is probably the easiest. Shattered is going to be really hard, really, really hard. And it's going to be a hard sign to see. And then Neptune's, you have to look really close at with the light if you see what's coming off of how she's kind of walking in the light. And with the first two, I loved how it was the back of her, so you couldn't really see. And then Shattered, I'm like, okay, I have to show a face, and just the eyes of Shattered really captures who Aries is. I think the eyes are like spot on. I couldn't even believe finding that cover. And my cover designer, I have to give a shout out to him, Henry Hyde. Oh my gosh. He just totally saw my vision, like the colors I wanted. He understood the astrological sign. And I have to give him so many props.
Oh, I
He did
love
it.
that. Well, and they're just such. I just think they capture. It's like they just pop to you. It's like now I'm gonna be looking. I'm like looking this
Yeah.
entire time though. I'm like, ooh, deep stare. I'm like, maybe your arm is like Pisces. No,
Actually,
I'm
I'll
gonna
tell you,
look at these later. I got them on my Kindle here, so I was like, I'm gonna be like looking through later.
it's in the water for deep stare. It's in the water. I'll give you that.
Okay. It's definitely Pisces then. No, I'll
It's
only say the ones I know.
and and first glance is actually Neptune. So it's not the actual sign, it's the planet Neptune
Oh,
is the
okay,
signs
okay.
in there, if you could see that. And then Shattered is my main character.
So I love it. I love those things that are like Easter eggs like that,
Yeah.
and that's just part of the fun of being an author. So how long did you work? Because this is something that people have often asked me in the past, like how long does it take to write a book? And I know that all of them are different. So how long did it take you to from the start of the idea to Neptune's Window First Glance being published? What was that? What was that process? Like how long
Uh,
was that?
it was okay, total 6 years.
Yeah.
The idea popped in my head. I was actually driving to work, so I kind of have a drive. Um, and I was trying to write, this is when chick lit was really popular, like The Devil Wears Prada. And
Hmm.
I was trying to write in that genre. And I was just driving to school and I'm around kids, teenagers all the time. And it dawned on me, I'm like, I need to write young adult. And so, I just decided right then and there, I'm going to write about my main character is going to have the traits of an Aries. And I got to work. I didn't even want to teach. I just wanted to start writing and writing, but I taught. I did. So I wrote down, a couple of lines, and so
just
that's
just
where it
put
became.
just put a movie on. That's what I was like. I used to
No,
teach and I was writing at the time too. I was like, oh, just watch a movie. Not really, but I was like,
no.
we can
I'm
watch
still working.
Mr.
See,
Magoo's
you're not a
Christmas.
teacher anymore. When I'm not a teacher, maybe I could admit that. No, I'm kidding. um,
Well,
so
I
yeah,
love
just any.
that. Well, it's like it's that one that catches your mind, and that's the one that you have to write. And what was the thing though? What was the thing about it that just caught in your mind that made you have to write this series?
Oh, I was so drawn to this. I went to a couple of mediums and just was fascinating. I don't even know if I fully believe it, but a lot of things started happening, and I just thought, it's fun. And when I talk to my students about astrology, they always want to know, okay, what is this sign? What's this sign do? And I thought, and at parties, people want to know about their sign. And I just thought, oh my, that would be so fun to put it into a book. And so I was just compelled to do that. But I've always kind of wanted to write a mystery. I don't think that I'm very scary. So I knew it couldn't be, that psychological thriller. I think this is my wheelhouse, though. So I think the mystery does dangle for a while. And I don't know. It kind of just every off moment, I was working full time, but anytime I had a break or a day off, I had to write. I was so drawn to this story.
I love that. Well, and you say like, yeah, you don't have the psychological thriller. I would definitely put this in that suspense category though, because
Oh,
you
thank
really do have some
you.
great. Well, you really do have some great like suspenseful moments, and especially just wondering like you really capture like definitely that mystery angle, but it's like there's definitely some suspense in there with the especially with the spirits and like Aries just wondering what's going on and that kind of thing. It's like especially with her mom, and so well, fantastic series. I do want to share a bit of a bit of your writing. You sent me some chapters, so or sent pages, excuse me. So set the stage for our audience, Linda. What's going on in this part of the story?
Okay, so this is really early on. Aries is at a new school and she shows up late to her class because at lunch she got contacted by a spirit, who keeps telling her, you have to find out the truth. You have to find out the truth. So, she's kind of like, leave me alone. I'm at school. And sometimes, because the voices are in her head, she forgets and she'll speak out loud. So she feels like a freak at school sometimes. So she has to really concentrate to not speak out loud. And so she came in late and she's now meeting the bad boy. So this is,
Nice.
yeah,
Part of the love triangle, right?
yes, this
And
is part of the
so,
love triangle and they're in class. Yeah. So
yeah.
they're meeting for the first time.
All right. Well, here, my voice is a bit scratchy, so sorry if the bad boy sounds really bad, and sorry if Aries also sounds like the bad boy. You'll just get that wine glass of the bad arse back again, and we'll be
Yeah.
good. And so, all right. Damon turned to her. Are you an Aries? Yes, she whispered. It was bad enough to walk in late. She didn't want to get in trouble for talking. I guess that takes out the whole cheesy line. Hey, what's your sign? She shrugged. Your parents smoke a lot of weed? It's none of your business. Please stop talking. I'm trying to pay attention. Freshman, right? She sighed. Sophomore. You must be a senior, or did you flunk a couple of grades? He smiled. Spunky. I like that. Yes, I'm a senior, and no, I didn't flunk. I had to take an elective class to graduate, so I picked this one. I haven't seen you before. New? Yes, she continued to take notes. Where'd you move from? Riverside? He laughed. Inland Empire. This must be culture shock for you. We were just talking about culture shock. She ignored him. Corey peeked over his shoulder, smiling at her. She smiled back, forgiving him for his association with Peyton. Her smile faded when Corey shot Damon a dirty look, and Damon glared back. The alpha dog communication between the two boys lasted a few moments. Peyton glared back as well, then linked her arm through Corey's, pulling him to face forward, then whispering something in his ear. She's acting like a freaking animal, definitely threatening and pissing all over her territory. That guy's a douche. Seems like you're a douche, Aries said. Damon laughed. You like him? I don't even know him, but you have a psychic ability to know he's not a douche? Something like that. Mr. Gutierrez glanced in their direction, and Damon fell silent for a few moments. Since you're new, I'll help you out, he said. Now, why would you want to do that? I like you, sophomore. You don't know me. True, you're smart, sassy, and kind of hot. A senior thought she was kind of hot. Aries tried to fight back a smile, unable to believe it. See, I knew I could get you to lighten up. You have a pretty smile, by the way, but in all seriousness, stay away from Corey Douglas. He's bad news. Aries smirked, logging into her computer. She answered the required questions, ignoring Damon for the rest of the period. When the bell rang, Damon scooted back in his chair and said, See you around, sophomore. Entranced for a moment by his piercing green eyes, she grabbed her belongings and headed out the door. Aries strolled through the parking lot, stopping when she reached the curb as the P-Pack piled into Peyton's champagne-colored convertible Mercedes. Closing her eyes, she tried to be grateful for the good things in her life, but she struggled, unable to come up with anything besides her father. He worked hard, trying to make up for the loss of her mother, but there was absolutely nothing he could do to take that pain away. And now the P-Pack made the wound a little deeper by having the means to anything their hearts desired. Were they really happy, or was it all a facade? A motorcycle roared up the curb, causing her to jump back. The rider balanced the Harley and took off his helmet. Hey, sophomore. Damon, you back to torment me? No. Thought you might need a ride. You look a little lost. I'm good, thanks. He pulled out a spare helmet. Come on, hop on. She shook her head. You know you want to. She put her hands in her pocket and bit her lip. She'd never been on a motorcycle before. It could be fun. Dangerous, but fun. Beats walking in 100 degrees, he said. Live a little and have some fun, a spirit said. You could use the distraction. I don't know. So I love just the dialogue and it's fun. Like you said, it's like she has to talk to these spirits and not look like she's talking to these spirits. And mayhem ensues. Before we round out here a little bit, it's like, tell us a little bit about like this love triangle and what was your kind of inspiration for some of those side characters?
I picture high school always had, the athlete, and then the kids that are kind of like the outcast or like super cool. And she's brand new, and she never even had a popular boy even talk to her, let alone show some interest. And there's some, the two boys don't like each other, so she doesn't know if they're competing with each other or if they genuinely, are starting to like her. Because in class they're shooting each other dirty looks. So I think Damon's kind of just messing with Corey by talking to her. And I thought, that is, I watch my students, and it's so funny anytime there's a new student. So there's maybe a new girl, all the boys will be interested in this new student. So I said, oh, okay, that's kind of a thing. What's this new girl's story? So I definitely wanted to pull on that, and just, I think that happens a lot. People are trying to choose, well, wow, I like this person, but do I like this person when they're younger? Maybe having people being attracted to her is something that's so new for her. So I wanted her to kind of have to handle that. I wanted her to be strong in her decisions and actually make a choice. And
Yeah,
so
well,
and then, oh, sorry.
I was gonna say, well, you do this wonderful job again with the balance of everything. Like there's the young adult intrigue, there's the mystery, there's the spiritual aspect over it, and it's just really fun to read. I can't emphasize that enough. I reviewed these two of these books now, and we'll eventually have to get on to the third one here, and so I can actually like round out the story. But like I also don't want to like scare people away though, because some people like hear young adult and they're like, oh, teen drama, and of course you got some teen drama in there, but a lot of these things can really translate over into life in general. So what's one of the things you kind of tackle that's some of this kind of like teen emotion things that you feel can actually apply to just life in general?
I think with anyone going through that, just a loss of somebody or toxic people in your
Mm-hmm.
life, it's okay, especially teenagers. It's okay, to get rid of a toxic friend if they're not making you feel, 100%. But I think anyone can see that, with their own life. Like maybe they have people that they keep talking to, but really they should just cut them off because maybe they're gossiping or, just not being genuine, or if they're in a bad relationship, or if someone lies to you, with the adults. So like her dad is dating someone new, and, she's having to deal with that also. But I think adults can relate to maybe if they're a single parent. So, her dad's now trying to be a single dad. And I think that's kind of relatable for the adults, was that relationship and the relationships, with her teacher. She sees her teacher outside, and she's kind of like in a mysterious relationship with, one of the students' dads. So it's kind of like they can relate to that. And a lot of adults that have read it, they said, "Oh my gosh, I do not miss high school." So
Well, I just found it like, I mean, I love young adult literature, and I find that actually like half the people that read young adult are actually adult, and they just love the emotions and things. And that's why I was like, I don't want to scare away people that hear young adult and they just like think this doesn't apply to me anymore, because it really is a fantastic series. And again, if you're watching, check that out in the description below. So I'll bring it back to us here. Before we round out here, I want to know like what's one piece of advice you would love to get? We have a lot of young writers and new writers that watch this show. What's one piece of wonderful writing advice that you would like to impart? I know it's hard when it's just one.
um, edit, 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 edit. Like you cannot edit enough. I probably didn't do that at first. Just get it all out, I think, and then go back. Like don't sit there and try to make the perfect paragraph. Get all your ideas out, I think, and then go back and edit. And don't be afraid to cut out maybe even a whole character. Some writers, they get so like, oh my God, that line was genius. It was such a genius line. And then it doesn't move the story at all. It kind of bogs it down, but it was so funny. It was so creative. It's like, just be okay with letting go. I think new writers, we want to hang on like, oh, but it was such a clever comeback. But, it's like, oh, but it's not, it's dragging the story. It's not moving it along. So I got rid of an entire character. I had an editor say, what is this? It's just another name we have to remember. They're not moving the story along. There's nothing to it. So be okay with that. And don't just have family and friends be your editors. Like get a freelance editor or someone professional, actually like spend the money, because everybody is going to think it's a work of art. It's a masterpiece. It's going to be the New York Times bestseller. So
It's got to get angry people. That's what I call editors. Not really.
yeah,
It's like, I was like, they're wonderful people, but it's just like they really do have that like, this has to go, and you're like, just like you hit it right on the head there, Linda. Where it's just like no, but it's like that's the perfect thing, and it's this lore, and it's like they're like you can take all that out, and it's still fine. That's
right.
what comics was good for me. Comics forced me to cut cut things because you actually don't have the space in comics. And so,
Right.
all right, so how can we like support you again? Like Linda's LL Lewin's website and books are all in the description down below. How else can we support you? Diabolic Shrimp is a very supportive community. So how else can people support you?
Thank you so much. So I'm on Instagram and Twitter. So LL Lewin 3. They're both at LL Lewin 3. And then TikTok is Neptune's Window. So you can support me that way and just buy the book. I would love it.
And review those books
And
for anyone
review,
watching
yes.
always. And so,
Yeah. Amazon review, the algorithm. So every time you get like a new review or, a high rating, it really helps us out a lot. Yes, reviews and
yeah, and it's just a wonderful feeling for anyone that doesn't write, that loves to watch the show. It's like that's your baby. So go support LL Lewin's baby, Linda's
thank
baby there.
you.
And so,
Thanks.
but well, Linda, it has been a blast chatting with you. Here, I'm gonna send you back to the spirit world. Here, I'll
Oh,
chat with
yeah.
you like a medium in a second. So hang out for just a second. So thanks for being on, Linda.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, hang out for just a second here. So that was Linda Lewin. Again, if you want to support her, again, support that baby. Like, write those reviews. Check out that book. Fantastic books. Just like I've said it all throughout this interview, but just this wonderful balance of that mystery and suspense. And I mean, you got it all in there, and she just does it all so well. So check those out below. I've reviewed 2 of them. I'm gonna have to check out the third one here. Again, a little bit of a march of our highlighted authors. So again, Neptune's Window, that's what we were just talking about. We also have The 4 Lives of Robinson Appleson. These are all in the link below if you want to check out some of these books. So we have Jeff Parsons, The Captivating Flames of Madness. So the Legend of the Copper Cyborg, kind of cool. Like it's almost like Wizard of Oz in a way. And that book is. So Conditions by Tiffany Brown. This is a part of a love story. It's book 2. So the revolutionary author, if you're looking to write, but you're kind of struggle a bit and you want to use some artificial intelligence. Ashes in Venice, Gohan Nikolic, also a wonderfully suspenseful book. And of course, I have to self promote here. Another zombie apocalypse coming out in about a week or so. But well, this has been Linda Lewin has been on here again. Drop those comments below if you were catching this later. Thanks for showing up. Hit that like and subscribe. Extra money I make from these things, I send towards a percentage of that towards universally good things like childhood disease research, ocean cleanup. We planted like 14 trees at one point. And so we do a lot of these things. You can check on the website if you're ever curious. But thanks for joining us. This has been another Diabolic Shrimp. Have a good night.